Great leaders don't tell you what to do, they show you how it's done. In trying to think of who I wanted to interview for this, the first person that came to mind was my colleague Jennifer. She is 8 years older than me and she works on the same property team with me at work. The experiences in regards to both successes and failures are what shape leaders into who they are. So, my goal of this interview was to gain some insight on Jen's opinion of what makes a leader good or bad, and what personal and professional experiences have helped shape Jen into the leader that she is today. So, we went over a couple different topics. First, we talked about the qualities that she thinks makes a leader either good or bad. Then we talked about actual examples that she has from her life of a good leader and a bad leader. And then lastly, I asked her the question of what advice she would give her 20-year-old self. So first, the qualities that make a leader good. One of the first things that Jen said is that leaders who lead by example and by the standards that they set. She said that that's a huge one because when followers view a leader as hypocritical, the leader's gonna lose their credibility. So leaders who not only lead their team to do the best that they can, they also show them by being the best that they can be themselves. She also thinks another quality that makes a leader great is something that our boss does, and that is that he's very humble and he's very open. So followers should definitely always be willing to learn, but leaders should also always be willing to learn. And Shane is the kind of boss that wants to know what he can learn from us too. And Jen said that that makes him so approachable, that if there's insight we can give him on a client or a market or a product or technology, that he's always willing to listen. So that open door policy is a really good quality for leaders to have. And lastly, fairness, which our boss also, she used him as an example. He's very fair. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him, or his opinions or his anger or anything like that. He's very fair across the board, not only with our team, but with our entire office and with our clients and whatnot. The one quality that she said is a huge factor to her of what makes a leader poor is arrogance, and not arrogance entirely, but displaced arrogance. So arrogance in the wrong setting. For example, we work in an office where all of the leaders are brokers. They're all the ones broking the account, and they have teams behind them. And in a sense, in order to be a successful broker, you do need to be arrogant. You need to be a dominant, and you need to have a strong personality, and you need to be outgoing. And the arrogance comes in, but you need to be confident in yourself, in your product, in your office, in your team. So we agreed that it definitely takes an arrogant person to be a broker, but it's not a bad thing. It's the displaced arrogance, the brokers who think they're better than everyone, or that they're there to be served by their team or whatnot. That's where she said, absolutely, that is what she said, absolutely can make a leader poor. The two examples that she used for personal examples of a good leader and bad leader were her high school coaches for track and field. And the first 3 years, freshman to junior year, she had an awesome coach who treated the kids like they were adults. He gave them responsibilities. He let them call him by his first name. He expected them to be mature, but was so encouraging and gave a lot of feedback. And the opposite example was a bad coach, her senior year, who was the complete opposite, treated the kids like kids, made them call him by a formal title, didn't give them responsibilities, didn't give them the same encouragement and feedback. And she was saying how much more successful the team was freshman to junior year. It was a great group of kids who enjoyed the responsibilities that they had, and they thrived, and it was mature. And she said she was so impressed by the group of kids and how different it was. And I was telling her that's called the Pygmalion effect. What a leader expects is often what a leader gets, which is the power of communicating expectations. It's a perfect example. And lastly, I asked Jen, like I said, what advice she would give her 20-year-old self, which I was so eager to hear because I'm nearly 20, I'm 22, so it's what advice she could be giving me potentially. And she said that it's never too late to start over. She also said you're not ever stuck doing what you're doing if you don't want it. So in regards to personal life or professional life or whatever that is, so don't ever feel stuck or be afraid to start over. It doesn't mean you're failing. It could be the best thing that you're doing for yourself and you just don't realize it. So in conclusion, my interview with Jen was successful. My goal was to gain insight on what she thought makes a good leader or a bad leader, excuse me, and what experiences have helped shape her into who she is today. And I got that. So I will end on a quote, which is, when I talk to managers, I get the feeling that they are important. But when I talk to leaders, I get the feeling that I'm important. And that's exactly how Jen makes me feel. She motivates me and inspires me and encourages me. And that's exactly what a leader should do for you.